is compatible with going forward and doing this, and it's one of the changes we just made in place to go forward and do that.
Isn't our, we talking 5 years though for capital? Generally, just in concert with the finance committee, we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you that we put on capital, but I think our policy.
We
I think we signed it in blood,
Signed it
so
in
we think we
blood
signed it
last
in
year.
blood.
There were two
We signed it in
aspects
blood,
of it. One was the
but we were gonna phase it in on a reasonable.
on the timeframe, and the other was the amount
The amount, right?
that we considered to be capital was gonna grow over
Right.
the next.
Right, so I don't know if this fits in, but if it does, maybe we'll have an exemption.
We hope it does. Certainly the useful life of this stuff would exceed 5 years. This stuff is gonna be around for a long time.
Good.
And we need to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of the
No doubt.
board's priorities to make it
No
happen.
doubt. Way over time.
My fourth item is we're already looking at our health insurance rates for next fiscal year. The chairman and vice chair requested that we bring in our consultant to review what our trend data is 6 months into the fiscal year so far, and how that will affect our rate for 2013. It's really critical. As you know, that's a $5.5 million budget item. The only budget that exceeds that is the school department budget. So it's the second largest budget that we have in the community. And you'll recall that this year, we were able to successfully put in a rate which was about, I think it was about an 0.8% decrease. Going forward, what we need to do is maintain level funding of our health insurance. It's really critical from an affordability perspective that we design a plan that has a minimal or no increase going forward. And the first part of that is to analyze and see what our trend has been. And so I know that we have a financial planning team meeting coming up next week, and I'd like to have that information
It's
available
another
for that meeting.
Valentine's Day.
Are these the same fellows that
Yes.
we had before?
This is the company that came in, I guess it was probably pretty close to a year ago now,
They were pretty good.
and made a number of different recommendations, and they were successful in putting us before Harvard Pilgrim. And from what I've heard, I don't know if you occasionally we receive compliments from people that they're
I have.
very happy with the
I
program.
have, yeah.
And I've heard people were very happy with the program.
And at the MMA conference, I stopped at the Harvard Pilgrim group, and I also talked to our management people, and Harvard Pilgrim guys were saying that they thought rate increases were gonna be in the single digits.
Well, that would be great news.
But,
Yeah, it was
you know,
single
what does
digits,
that mean,
single
9%?
9.9.
9%.
Well, you know, it's better
9%
than
is a
10
half
or
million
11 or
dollars.
12.
I had 24 this year.
What did I'm trying to think?
It was
what I
much
heard.
too early to
was painful.
tell, and, you know, the other thing, they said, you know, we don't have a lot of experience with the town of North Reading,
Right.
so it's kinda early, but,
But the GIC are looking at well, they're going to manage the increases by changing the benefits programs again, but it's still probably gonna be 8% plus. So reduction in benefits and an increase in premiums.
but there is a tremendous amount of pressure on the medical industry, control costs to
Oh, right.
bring them down, and pressure on the insurance companies to keep their rates down, so finally, you know, that side of the problem is being addressed, because you can't constantly reduce the benefits, and reduce the benefits, and reduce the benefits. You reach a wall at some point in time when you're better off self-insuring yourself, you know. So,
But I throw that out in relation to the group insurance commission, more for our employees and collective bargaining groups, to just keep in mind that, that's something that we will continually monitor and look at as an option, but not necessarily what we would want to do for them. you know?
well, I think a couple things came out of hiring this group to manage our insurances. One is, I think the knowledge was there.
They were very good.
And I don't want to take anything away from Allison, because she lives with it day by day. And I think there was better communication. You know, basically when these guys said something, they could back up whatever they
Right.
talked about, which I think is very important.
Yes, no, they're very good.
Critical. There was one item that I didn't include on in my report, but I did want to acknowledge that the town has received through its Department of Elder Affairs a $988 donation from Teradyne. This is the 7th year that they've made a donation. The employees of Teradyne have made a donation, and this is used to assist the fire safety program. It specifically addresses the needs of elders and providing carbon monoxide and smoke detectors at no cost to these individuals. And I want to thank those employees from that corporation who have generously donated to our community.
Did I see, based on the pictures in an email, that the town ambulance, the new ambulance has arrived? Or,
The lettering is being done. I spoke with Fire Chief Warnock, and as I know, it has not arrived at this date.
it has not arrived?
Correct.
That was where they were lettering at, the pictures you got.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
And the emblems were of sufficient size, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Can't be missed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Mr. O'Leary?
Nothing
All the
other
new
than
business?
you're going to go into what our schedule is coming up? That's all, meeting schedule?
Yep.
Other than that, I'm all set.
Michael?
Yeah, just a couple things. Greg, absentee ballots for the special ballot. Are those out? Are those going to be out soon? Do you know?
The town clerk is required by, she has to do that all in accordance
Oh, I
with
know
the
she.
statute.
Yeah, I know she did. She said they were coming in though, and I was wondering if they had already come in.
No.
Oh, how could they come in? We
No.
just voted on
We just
the
voted to put the
language.
question, what the question was.
I know, no, but she said it wouldn't be long. I went over to the office last
Yeah,
week.
we just voted on it.
We'll transmit the language to her
Oh no,
tomorrow.
no, I don't think they needed.
Yes.
They did?
Oh, yeah, she needs the exact vote of the board.
Okay. All right. Then.
In the language
She
that
get
we
voted
voted.
But can we?
tomorrow, but-
And then, how does the public get notified that the absentee ballots are available?
We'll do an email blast, a press release through the newspapers that there'll be absentee ballots
The
available.
town clerk usually puts a public notice in
Is that okay?
a box, and then I assume it'll be on the website.
She's also required the whole voter registration session.
Yeah,
and such,
voter
so that she
registration.
will-
Whole voter
deadline, all that
registration
show
and all
up.
Well, I just want to make sure that people at home know that there are going to be absentee ballots available, and once they are, plan ahead and make sure they get them.
And for those like myself and my wife that have 2 kids at college,
Right.
we want to make sure that they get one in their hand so they can exercise their rights to vote too.
So, what else?
When are we meeting with RMLD? Have we heard anything back? Is that still in the plan?
We have given our schedule to the RMLD board in terms of coming in. My understanding is that there's an election that will be taking place within the next 30 days. And we can certainly invite in our liaison or our citizen member to come in and address the board if you wish.
I don't think we need to be addressed. They had said they'd meet with us.
We left there with the impression that each board from each of the towns would have an opportunity to meet with them.
I'd like to weigh in a little bit on that. You know, I once again,
Right, I
would like
think-
to meet with a joint session with Wilmington and Linfield and ourselves with RMLD.
Right.
Because, you know, what questions they have, we may not have thought of, and again, what the answers are. I'd like to get the same message, the same input, and the same
That's what I thought we
information.
were
I'm not
doing.
necessarily looking for them to come to us. I don't mind going back down there again.
While we're on that subject,
may prove to be
Greg had a
unnecessary.
great idea, and we were discussing the whole issue of the RECs.
Yeah.
And, you know, this satisfies the people that, the conservative, the green, the people that are really energy conservationists that are concerned about the RECs being sold because they contribute to other companies getting away with not contributing to reduced energy consumption. And that would be to have a request at Reading Light sell the RECs, but apply those RECs proportionally to all the communities to go to LED lighting of the streetlights, which would reduce energy consumption and cost
Right.
to the communities. So that it would be a win-win for everybody doing it that way. It would take the argument over selling the RECs, because what we'd be doing is applying that money to actually energy conservation and lowering the cost. And we'd also then be passing some of the cost to our rate holders who pay through taxes
Right.
for street lighting. And maybe it would even allow us in the longer term to put more of the lights back on.
One of the
I thought it was a great idea.
And the other thing is investing in any other local energy green energy projects that specifically benefit the member communities versus investing in having recs from some project up in Concord, New Hampshire, or in Western Massachusetts or such. That if those recs were sold and those dollars were invested, as Bob suggested, perhaps in solar or small-scale wind power projects such that would help us.
I believe RMLD is actually doing that now. I think they have 2 projects going on that are green energy projects.
We didn't talk about that. It was interesting. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the timing of bringing them in. There is an election in the town of Reading, and one of the commissioners' position is contested. Perhaps as a result of that election, which takes place in less than a month, there's no need for, we can have a meeting, but that issue may end up resolving itself that the board had previously addressed, because, as you know, there's a divided board right now.
Yeah, no, we understand that.
But
The political issues that are
I
going
think
on.
I'd like to still have the opportunity to talk to them, because I think the idea of taking that money and rather reducing everybody's electric rate, apply it in a more positive way. Because it's, in terms of the savings to each ratepayer, it's small money,
Right.
but in terms of the amount of capital, it can buy a fair amount of lighting or lead lighting for streetlights or other energy conservation programs in each of the communities.
Mr. Chair?
If it just,
please.
just in that.
Yeah,
Okay.
with what Steve was saying, that he, and I agree with him, I think we all do, that we should meet with all the communities that are impacted this way. Should we send a letter to the RMLD and let them know that that's where we stand on that? That might be,
Just so you know, I did meet with the other town administrators in the other communities relative to this issue, and none of those communities are willing to meet as a joint group prior to the election.
prior
The
to,
attitude
okay.
is to wait until the election.
That I understand that.
Okay, so they're not against meeting as a group, they want to wait until after the
They
election.
just want to wait until the early March
Yeah,
election.
that makes sense.
Could be a waste.
Yeah.
But I reflected on that meeting afterwards, and it still didn't leave me with a good taste in my
No.
mouth as far as,
That's why I brought it
how
up,
we
'cause
were,
It's been bothering me ever since.
how, well, the action or inaction that they took. It wouldn't have been very difficult for the chairman to allow a motion to reconsider, and again, let them go on record whether they're going to reconsider or not, the issue on selling the recs. Again, the idea that was just posed here sounds very good and like a nice idea, but if the composition of the board remains the same, I don't see that changing. They seem pretty adamant about it.
Well,
far as their
that-
position,
I
but-
think that's why there's a good possibility the composition of the board is
Well,
going to
maybe,
change.
maybe not, but the thing is, the fact still remains. I think it's very important that people in North Reading get some more information. I mean, Reading's had some information, it's been in the Chronicle down there, I guess on a regular basis, but I wasn't aware of it until that nice woman sent us an email.
Yeah.
And,
And if she hadn't.
and she hadn't, we
I
wouldn't have
know
any
nothing about
idea.
it.
And,
No, nothing.
But the fact still remains, I don't think we were treated well. I don't think we were shown the requisite amount of respect that's due this board and this community and the ratepayers in North Reading. I think the chairman down there did a disservice to us, and I think that somehow or another we should, I'll express it again and give the opportunity, but I'm going to state it here publicly. I just think they made a mistake. They had an opportunity to revisit the issue, reconsider it, and they chose not to, other than we'll decide by June. And at some point, hopefully, we get to meet with you and give you, more information. It's a 3-2 vote down there. I thought Bob Soley's analogy in relation to the dogma was right on target. It was it in a nutshell. He didn't
right on.
realize, we do green things. They have some green initiatives. They do an awful lot at RMLD through their investments and also through their actions. But because of the definition under these particular programs, it doesn't meet.
Right.
And in addition to that, they're not even required to file or invest in these things. So it's because of their size. So it's, you're talking about a $30 million question here as far as leaving that, and quite frankly, leaving $30 million on the table to make a point and to support a philosophy unnecessarily, where there's no regulated mandate. It's totally unnecessary, and as suggested, those revenues could be put to good use in